Don't you find it amazing that you can live in or visit a place for ages and ages and not get to know something that is within spitting distance of your front door, so anxious are you to go explore further afield? I've been living in Beijing for some 14 months. Just 5 minutes walk away is the entrance to yet another park, which I've noticed often enough and walked on past, always knowing that one day when I have nothing better to do, I can drop in and take a look. Well, this past week, events conspired to take me in there without my even being aware of it. I had decided in my quest to visit another of Beijing's many museums, to go see the Science and Technology Museum, just off the Third Ring Road. I worked out the route, jumped on a bus, walked to the entrance, and found it was little more than a building site, with the old buildings hardly distinguishable through the thick layers of dust and grime that had built up over the last few months. Somewhat deflated, I decided that as it was such a nice day, I would take a walk northbound. I had hardly gone a short way before coming across another entrance to the self-same park, Yuan Dadu Chengyuan, that I never really knew existed. Taking note that I mustn't spit, piss and litter everywhere, or what killjoys, that I mustn't step into the pond, that's okay I guess, and I shouldn't fight, make a disturbance or do anything that is illegal like superstition and gamble, okay, I bet I won't even need to keep my fingers crossed on that one, I entered the park and found it to be an absolute delight. With a history of over 700 years, Beijing's city wall was originally built in 1267 by the famous Yuan Emperor Kublai Khan. But in the early years of the Ming dynasty, the north part, what has now been turned into this delightful park, was left out of the city when the north wall was moved southwards. The city wall was made mainly of soil and is about 12.5 meters high and 31 meters broad. The overall park is actually divided into two sections, a total length of 9 kilometers, one in Haidian and the other in Chaoyang. The section I'm now in is the Chaoyang side, spanning some 4.8 kilometers. The park has been set out to celebrate the culture and achievements of the Yuan dynasty. As you walk through it, you can read poems praising the beauty of nature, and on the grass you come across sculptures of horses every now and then, representing the invulnerability of the Yuan dynasty. The city of Dadu, the forerunner of Beijing, was built in 1264. Its design followed several rules from the book Rites of Zhou: 9 vertical axes, 9 horizontal axes, palaces in the front, markets in the rear, left ancestral worship, right god worship. It was broad in scale and strict in its planning and execution. But in August 1368, General Shu Da captured the city. The Khan of Yuan, Yuan Shundi, escaped without defending the city, and so it sustained no damage. Shu Da decided that Dadu's fortification system was too large to defend during a siege, so he ordered the city's northern walls rebuilt 2.8 kilometers to the south of their original location. The original walls were abandoned after 1372, but were still used as a secondary defence during the Ming dynasty. And so, with that history lesson out the way, you won't be surprised as you walk a little bit further into the park to come across a huge group of statues of 19 historical figures, such as Kublai Khan, the founder of the Yuan dynasty, together with his imperial concubines. These sculptures, known as Dadu Dingsheng, are actually the biggest open-air sculptures to be found in Beijing. Old Kublai, also known as Hu Bilieu, is accompanied by other notables such as the famous Italian traveller Marco Polo and Chinese astronomer Guo Shoujing, and there's a couple of groups of musicians and dancers, as well as family pets, to make sure they don't get bored. From a little distance away you can take in the whole tableau, including an 80-metre frescoed wall depicting life in days gone by, including the wedding of a princess. And just to the right of this tableau is another tiled wall which makes for some interesting patterns if you enjoy tinkering with Photoshop's myriad filters. It's here too that you can find that absolutely must-see attraction, Chaoyang's Public Security and Protection Museum, which has a large sign near the road, with loads of absolutely spiffing signs surrounding this open space, allowing visitors to revel in health and safety topics. But for some inexplicable reason, the museum itself is not heaving with people all trying to cram in to learn about H&S. In fact, I can't see a single person queuing up to be allowed inside, while the guard appears to be fast asleep. Very strange, though if the truth be known, I too find myself bypassing this golden opportunity to increase my knowledge of this fascinating subject, and decide instead to move on to discover more of the park. A moat dug during the Yuan dynasty flows through the park. It's now known as the Xiaoyu River, and this divides it into two parts connected by 6 bridges. In some places, the water is more like a dirty puddle, with mud lining each bank of the river course. In other parts, the water flows smoothly, and in winter, the entire river freezes solid along its entire length. All along it you can see acacias, pines, and weeping willows, quite stunning. There's always something new to see as well. You come across little sculptures almost everywhere, such as coins representing the commercial merchants who used to set up their wares on the original Dadu city walls. The park is definitely a happy place to be, and if you look carefully, you'll see loudspeakers designed to look like rocks, from which there's a non-stop cacophony of uplifting music and uplifting commentary. Well, I have no idea what the voice says. It could be an exhortation for everyone to be happy, or praising the park authorities, or something else for all I know. But strangely enough, I don't find it annoying in the slightest. Maybe the reason it's not annoying is because for most of the length of the park, the music and exhortations are drowned out by real people enjoying life to the fullest. Most days you'll find all kinds of activities going on all around you. Here are some 200 to 300 people gathering in the shade of the trees at the back of a bandstand, singing their hearts out to the sound of a keyboard player, saxophonist and drummer. A few meters further along, you come across a score of couples dancing to the sound of a DVD player. While if it's early morning Tai Chi or Keep Fit classes you're after, you've definitely come to the right place. Some of these Keep Fitters practice with what look like red fly swatters. Very graceful it is, and certainly I saw not a single fly even contemplating what a great idea it would be to buzz in on their exercise drills. Badminton, too, is immensely popular, both the traditional bash the shuttlecock over the net type, as well as the keep kicking the oversized shuttlecock in the air version. Beijing's parks are also useful if you are the type of person whose hobby is likely to be too noisy for your neighbours. Here are a whole load of people all practicing their instruments, totally oblivious to other musicians standing just a couple of feet away from them. The mishmash of sounds is not at all unpleasant, a little like the conglomeration of competing church bells in Europe calling out on a Sunday morning. Not that you need to practice with others if you don't want to. An aspiring clarinetist, for instance, is serenading the birds from a hideaway close to the road. There's no hobby, it appears, that is unsuitable for getting up to in the park. Want to practice your calligraphy? No problem, just get yourself a bucket of water and a very long brush. Maybe you're a natural tree hugger at heart. People here love pushing against the trees, doing vertical push-ups, or even hanging from branches to strengthen their muscles. One woman regularly stretches her leg muscles here and can often be seen striking a pose for up to half an hour at a time. And if you feel somehow that there's a dearth of birds in Beijing, then again, this is the place to come to, especially in the evenings when many of the old-timers bring their bird cages out to listen to the warbling of their occupants. This is very much a people's park. Throughout its length you see signs for camping, sometimes in the most unlikely of places. Especially at weekends, you see young couples erecting their tents, possibly looking forward to a romantic night out. Everything is laid on for the park's visitors. Practically every few hundred meters there's a loo, well designated by anatomically suspect signs. For budding arborealists, there are even notices telling you the type of tree you're standing under. But I feel well pleased with myself for being able to decipher another notice, which reads, "Please keep of the grizz," though I do have to walk across the grass to be able to read it in the first place.